At class 9. Today I want to discuss about the Industrial Revolution, and it is the chapter which has more emphasis, and it is the phase where it marked a glorious future, plus uh, it led to the rise of capitalism as well as socialism and certain things. So we will discuss everything in detail. Let's proceed. So in this chapter we shall discuss about the definition, impact of industrial revolution, and comparative study of socialism and capitalism. So before understanding uh, what is socialism and capitalism, let's understand what is industrial revolution. So, the meaning of industrial revolution. The word revolution means something sudden or quite swift. Industrial revolution resulted in revolutionary changes in all walks of life. So, you need to be very focused. You need to understand what does this industrial revolution means. Industrial revolution does not mean for one particular person, okay? Just one particular person or one country. It is a revolution. It changed all walks of life in every country. So, revolution means a sudden or a quite swift, and that revolution changed everything in every space of life. Okay, the industrial revolution is a name given to the series of changes. It is a name given to the series of changes which brought about a transition from production of hand to the production of machine. So what does this mean, industrial revolution? It changed the system from hand production to machine production. So it is quite it is quite difficult to understand the preface, because people at that period of time before industrial revolution, everything was produced with the handmade products were there. But after the sudden boom of technologies, inventions, what happened? Everything was changed. Machines started to do every work. Okay, right from small scale production to the large scale production, from handmade goods to the machine made goods. Now, small scale small scale to the large production, it was totally upon the machine. So industrial revolution was not a sudden revolution. It was not a sudden, but it happened gradually. Revolution means sudden, but industrial revolution happened gradually. The mass of production of goods brought revolutionary changes in political, social, economic life of the people. Means whatever the goods that were produced by machine was very good, okay, cheap, and it was like people every all walks of people could opt for that machine made good, because it was finished product. It was very finished product also. So industrial revolution is not a sudden but a gradual change, which made that from small scale production to the large scale production was transferred from handmade production to the machine made production. Now, industrial revolution. Uh, Industrial Revolution. There was a remarkable economic growth from 1780s to 1820 in the cotton and iron industry, coal mining, in the building of roads and canals, and in foreign trade. Now, in 1780, what were the main economic prospects, economic growth were there? Like in 1780s, like main focus was there in cotton, production of cotton, in iron industries, coal mining, building of roads, canal, foreign trade, etc. Okay, so it refers, this industrial revolution refers it refers to the period of rapid social, economic, and technological changes that took place in Britain from the later half of 18th century to the first half of 19th century. So you need to be very specific about which century. Its industrial revolution was started from 18th century to the later half of to the first half of 19th century. Now, let's understand the causes of industrial revolution. The causes of industrial revolution, whatever the revolution become, whatever be in history, there are causes and impacts. Okay, causes and impacts. So one need to understand its cause and impacts. The beginning of Renaissance, we have already completed Renaissance, that is rebirth of learning. Rebirth of learning. The beginning of Renaissance and Reformation led an awakening among the people in Europe. Means people of Europe were very much awaked, because they got a knowledge, they got thinking capacity, they had their own rational, what is right, what is wrong. They got an rational awakening. Okay, invention by the British scientists. British scientists invented so many things. Okay, and that brought the scientists that invented certain things that created, like it was very, it proved very beneficial for the industries that were located in Great Britain. The invention of spinning jenny. Now, what were the inventions of British scientists? We will understand. The invention of spinning jenny by James Hargreaves in 1769 increased the speed of spinning. And if you want to see it in your book or in Google also, you can Google it, the word spinning jenny, and lots of articles will be there. You can see it. So the invention of water frame by Richard Arkwright produced stronger and harder yarn as compared to the spinning jenny ushered in the factory system. Now it was changed from to machine made machine products. Okay, England had a large colonial empire. It produced raw materials from colonies at cheaper rates. Means colonies means there were India, there were Africa, so many, because British had East India Company in India. Okay, so from India they used to take raw materials, and when at very cheaper rates, and they used to bring back the finished product with higher purchasing parity. India was one of those countries from where it purchased raw materials like cotton at extremely low rates. England not only bought raw materials at cheap rate but also sold its manufactured goods in the colonial market. Thus, the availability of market led to the flourishing industries in England. So what happened after the revolution, after the industrial revolution? What the Britain started to take over the raw materials that were that were there in the colonial states. The colonial states can be India, Africa, etc. And from India they took not just cotton, but they took other products also. Okay, so these made the finished product was so good that the market in England boomed, because everyone wanted to buy those finished product made by machine. Several raw materials such as iron and coal were available in India. Further, it was supreme naval power. Again, this means British was supreme in naval power, so it required coal and iron. Okay, it was able to procure raw materials from other parts of the world by ship. Moderate climate of England helped in development of textile industries. So these are the things that caused this. These are the things that led. What were the factors that started industrial revolution. So the main industrial revolution started from Great Britain, and Great Britain was the that it has availability of raw materials. Moreover, it was considered as a supreme naval power, etc. And so much of raw materials they used to get from other parts of the world via ship. Okay, so everything, whatever the even the climate also supported Great Britain for this factors in the beginning of industrial revolution in England or Britain. Now, as England began to reap huge benefits from international trade and industry, in England began to expand, bringing about an increase in the production of goods and services. Not services, sorry, materials. Now, what happened? After earning huge sum of money, they started to start product different goods and materials. Napoleonic War had damaged the trade and industry of the continental countries. However, these wars were never fought in Britain. A long period of peace prevailed, which led to the development of industrial production in India. Now, what happened? Not in England. Now, what happened was Britain did not had a long prolonged war. Okay, there was a peace. There was a period of peace, not just period of peace, but a long period of peace prevailed in in England. That's why in Britain, that's why if peace is there, if everyone is like they don't have any problem, then naturally the society will grow. So that is how the production increased in England. The decline of feudalism resulted in a large number of unemployed peasants. This feudalism, I want to make you the meaning clear. Feudalism means that one, it was in 10th and 13th century. Okay, 10th to 13th century, in European medieval societies. It was in European medieval societies where the society was divided into social hierarchy. Social hierarchy. Social hierarchy was established based upon which was established based on local administration, based on local administration. So and when this the hierarchical system was abolished, there were large number of unemployed peasants. Okay, they came to the cities. Now what happened? They migrated to cities in search of jobs, and thus laborers were easily available for factories in England. So these also gave a boom for industrial revolution. The use of charcoal and tar enabled the construction of roads in many European countries. In 1804, the locomotive engine was manufactured by George Stephenson. This improved the transport system in England. Now, the George Stephenson invented locomotive engine. Now what happened means this locomotive engine started to give the improved transport system in England. So many things like road connectivities were done in a very good way, so transportation of goods and materials became very easy. The invention of steam engine by James Watt led to the beginning of industrial revolution in 1813. The railway ran with the help of steam. Now, this was when the invention of steam engine was the marvelous invention by James Watt. This particular invention of steam engine by James Watt led to the what beginning of industrial revolution in 1813. The railway ran with the help of steam. And we use coal. Okay, many Protestant artisans of Spain and France migrated to England for the fear of religious persecution in their own countries. The English government provided them in shelter and monetary help. Their skills helped in development of industry in England. Now, what happened? The people migrated. There were like certain Protestant artisans were there. They that from Spain and France, like they thought that their religious sentiments will be heard, and they totally migrated over to England. And with that, the government of England did certain things like they gave shelter and money, and in written that people, that artisan, Protestant artisan, were hired and their skills were used in the development of industries in England. So the Industrial Revolution brought tremendous changes in human thinking, living conditions of people and the world. Now, impact of Industrial Revolution means that it impacted over the thinking capacity of human, the living conditions of the people, standard of living was rise, standard of living standard of living was increased. Two significant effects of industrial revolution were the rise of capitalism and socialism. Now, impacts means what were the significant effects was the rise of capitalism and socialism. So, let's understand comparative study of socialism, capitalism and socialism. So, on the basis of meaning, we will study capitalism refers to the economic system prevalent in a country where there is private or corporate ownership on trade and industries. So, capitalism only focuses upon private, not public. On the other hand, socialism, the economic structure in which the government has ownership or control over the economic activities is of a country, is known as socialism. Now, on socialism, government is there. Government totally controls the economic activity. It can be totally called as public also. Okay, so government. Now, on the basis, they base on the individual right. They talks about individual right, but on socialism talks about principle of equality. So equality irrespective of all caste, color, creed, gender, sex, etc., they are equal. So the basis is upon equality. Now, what does this capitalism advocates? Capitalism advocates innovation and individual goals, because we are talking about individual right, innovation and individual goal. Whereas socialism talks about equality and fairness in the society. Equality and fairness in the society. Means of production is privately owned. Now, means of production in socialism is socially owned. Means group of people come together and they produce. Prices determined by the market forces, whereas in socialism the prices is determined by the government. In market and capitalism is freedom to complete along with the right to invest, but in socialism the competition is very limited, but industries are not owned by state, because it is like because government controls the economic activities, right? Degree of distinction in the class of people means people, high class people are there. In socialism, low class people are there. Wealth, the in capitalism, wealth, each individual work for the creation of his own wealth. So in capitalism, what we consider that each individual works every day for the creation of its own wealth. Rather, in socially, it in the creation means it is equally shared by all people of the country in socialism. Now, religion means freedom to follow any religion, and socialism also says that freedom to follow any religion, but it encourages secularism, means they can follow any religion. Efficiency, there is much efficient. In socialism, there is less efficiency. Government interference, in capitalism there is no government interference, but there is a government interference in socialism. Now, the profit and the wages are given as per one's ability and willing to work. If that person has good ability and he or she is willing to work, he will be paid. But in socialism, profit is based fairly on as per the efforts only. Okay, and the labor, the workers can choose their employee occupation, whereas workers are permitted to choose occupation. But state planning promotes employment. State enters the employment opportunities. Business, individual have right to own business and enter into contract, whereas in socialism state own the basic industry but not other businesses also exist. So this is a somewhat difference between capitalism and socialism. So these are the impacts after industrial revolution. Two segments started, two segments. Okay, And one is capitalism and one is socialism. Till now, we like in a country, some country follows socialism, some country follows capitalism. So it is upon the country which they will choose. So I have completed the chapter, industrial revolution. Please make your notes. Till then, stay safe and take care.